I am being victimized. My suspension is a means of silencing me. It was episode after episode, moments after moment. We were at his country home. He was taking me around his house. My husband was walking behind us, held my hand. He then squeezed my hands in a very suggestive way. We're women, we know what it means when a man squeezes our hands in a suggestive way. And he went, now that you're in the Senate, I will make an opportunity for us to come here and have a good moment, along that line.
Did the Senate president ever make any sort of advances towards you in the chamber or in the Senate?
There was a time I rushed to work, forgetting to wear my ring. And there were about 5 senators there. And he was, "Oh, Natasha, you're not wearing your ring. Is this an invitation to treat?" Statements like this.
So let's be clear about this particular matter. What she has just said, does that in any way relate to what she has said earlier, especially the interview she had granted Arise News? Remember the Arise News interview where she said it was more like what we see in the university, sex for marks, it is sex for Bill. So how does this narration, sex for Bill, how did it relate to sex for Bill? I just want to find out, because it seems that story is not complete. And I just feel that this lady is pushing something that is much more than just sexual harassment. It's more than that. There's something more, and I feel she's been sponsored. There are no two ways about it. It has every marks of sponsorship. Because I don't see this thing being genuine. It's not genuine. Giving her antecedents, giving people she has accused before and it came out to be false, it's going to be the same old. It's going to amount to nothing, frankly speaking. I'm against sexual harassment. I'm against all forms of sexual harassment against anyone, including a man. Because men are also sexually harassed in the offices. But again, men will not come out and say they are sexually harassed. Okay? I'm against it. But then, I'd love to really ask that she proves beyond reasonable doubt, beyond what she has just said, as a proof, So let's even go back to what she said, the 2 incidences that she said. You are in her country home. You are in his country home, and he held your hand in the presence of your husband. Jesus. A man, supposedly a family friend, held your wife, held you in the presence of your husband. Your husband was there. And then squeezed your hand. And we women know when a man is suggestive with squeezing hand. Please, no. When I squeeze a woman's hand, I'm not suggesting to a woman. When I squeeze a woman's hand, I'm either trying to, feel her pulse. I'm trying to, make her feel comfortable, but I'm not suggesting anything to you by squeezing your hand. No. Look, that's not how Nigerians react. I don't know. I don't know. Is not Natasha a Nigerian? Is she a Nigerian? Please, somebody remind me. Oh, she has a Ukrainian mom. Oh, okay. Because how is squeezing a woman's hand suggestive? How is it suggestive? I've asked several ladies about this when I saw that BBC interview. I just asked a few ladies, when a man squeezes your hand, does it suggest anything to you? It doesn't, but there's a way that a man will touch your hand. There's a particular way he touches your hand, not squeezing. She used the word squeezing, and then you would say, okay, this is suggestive. Yes, it might not be written anywhere, but there's a way a man would touch your hand, and it will go, oh yeah, the lady just, it pricks her mind, like using his finger to touch the middle of the female's hand. Yes, using his finger to touch the middle of the female's hand. That is when it is suggestive. But even at that, there's nothing you can't prove it, so to speak. But saying that it squeezes your hand for it to sound suggestive, Jesus Christ. No way in hell. No way. Having said that, then the second one, you said that you kept your ring. You didn't have your ring. You didn't have your ring. You forgot your ring, and then you came up to the office, and then he saw that you were not wearing your ring, and then he says, "Is that an invitation? Is that an invitation to treat?" I would like to know what you said to him. What did you say to him? Have you met him? Have you told him repeatedly to stop those? Is there proof you have told him severally to stop? Or is this just an afterthought? This is at the very finest an afterthought. I think it's about time that the Senate President comes out to challenge her, to bring all those evidence. The Senate President should go to court. Because again, she wouldn't stop. Who knows where she's going to take this to? She's gone to the BBC, she's gone to the International Parliament, she's gone to, the next thing probably will be on CNN, or maybe on Al Jazeera. But except somebody advises her to just stop this thing and face reality. By facing reality, I mean going to the Nigerian court to tender her case and prove it beyond reasonable doubt. Then all this going back and forth to international community or to the international media would frankly be amounting to nothing. At very best, to nothing, frankly speaking. So I feel pained. I don't support any form of harassment. I abhor it. I detest it. I would always kick against it. But if you must go this route around trying to nail a man, you should have something concrete. You should have something much more than just what he said to you. Because what if Akpabio comes out and says he never said those things to you? But the dates you're probably going to be proposing are the dates he wasn't even in the country, because we have had antecedents with her with other people. How do we believe her? How do we know this is for real? There are 4 other men that she has accused of sexual harassment, and it turned out to be false. So, for real, how do we know for real that this is real? This particular one is real. I'd love her to prove it beyond reasonable doubt. And all these media organizations that are actually going for, granting her interviews, I think you should also grant Akpabio interview if it gives you, because as a third man, I don't see him granting those interviews. Maybe his aides, maybe a few persons around his media people, could do such things, but not him, because this is somewhat beyond just rhetoric, beyond just anything that has to do with the institution of our Senate. It's also personally damaging. You can imagine where the man is in terms of his mindset, week in, week out, day in, day out, thinking through these things, having family, having kids, having seen, women, having see it, to see her every single time go on media to say that he did this. I think it's about time that everybody laid their cards. Let's see what it takes us to. And by the way, for those who have missed out, These are some of the things. These are some of the men whom she has accused of sexual harassment in the past, and it amounted to nothing. You know, you would give it to Akpoti or Dohagan for, you know, you salute her courage and her character when it comes to things and issues like this. Give it to her. She's fabulous with that. But there are a few things that I actually want to put out, especially as it relates to this matter. I don't know. I just, in my head, I was just playing back what has happened. And I said to myself, I wish this particular petition that she's putting out against the Senate president was not as a result of a seat-changing emotional outburst of hers in the House. I wish it wasn't. I wish it was just a petition written on its own, aside an altercation that happened, because it feels to me that there was an orchestrated plan to act the way she acted, and then the next thing is to go into allegations of sexual misconduct or sexual harassment on her, because it looks premeditated. I mean, look at the incident. Oh, Natasha, you no longer sit there. Look at where your seat is, and you are not the only person whose seats have been changed in that house in the last year and the last few months. Ojis Okalo, who is a high-ranking member of that particular party, APC, has been the seats have been changed severally. People who are low-ranking, middle-ranking, however ranking, their seats have been changed in different times and different days and different periods, and they say it's a normal thing, and then you know it's a normal thing. So why is it a problem changing your seat if it is within the jurisdiction of the Senate president to change your seat? Why is it an issue? Like, if that's how it happens, without your notice, they take your seat away from you, take it to somewhere else. Why is that an issue? Truly, because I don't get it. Why is that an issue? Now, again, like I said, I wish she doesn't even have an antecedent beyond just having the issues with the premeditated style she used in getting traction, and then people say creating content, and then moving to allegations of sexual misconduct. It feels to me like a pretty premeditated action. Flashback, we have had several persons. Akpabio now is the fifth. We had 4 other persons who have basically accused you of falsely accusing them that sexually. You said you were sexually harassed, and whereas they are out with evidence, and then when they are out with their evidence, you tend to kaput, you tend to run away. So these are the kind of cards that you have played in the past that has somehow brought attention to you, and then you think you can play that card in the Senate House. It's preposterous. Now, let me give you a list of people whom she has accused of sexually harassing her, and it turned out to be false. 1, Reno Omokri, former media aide to President Goodluck Jonathan, was accused by this same woman of sexually harassing her during an event. Omokri provided evidence proving he was in the United States at the time of the alleged incidents, forcing Akpoti herself to retract that her claim. Can you imagine that? So, were you hallucinating? Was your head moving left and right and center to think that somebody who is in the United States would be harassing you in Nigeria? If it wasn't about, oh well, play politics with the throwing the wheel to the spanner, throw something and let it be that it's sexual harassment. I mean, and it is easy because, again, in the world where the world listens only to when it is sexual harassment for women, it becomes, now because say he no give am sex, that's why they do am like this. And I thought through it again. I said, is this Senate president? Do you know that Senate president can sit in his house in Abuja and order 6 girls from 6 continents, the best of the best across the world? If it is sex that is his problem, because it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. The second person who has been accused by this woman of sexual harassment is Yaya Bello, former governor of Kogi State, has also was also named in one of her accusations, but the claim was widely disputed and lacked credible evidence. She goes about throwing tantrums at people who are prominent. If you're not prominent, if you're not big, she wouldn't come towards you. You know, I mean, somebody asks her, she's not the only person who is in the Senate. She's not the only woman who is in the Senate. There are actually four women who are in the Senate. The Ereti Kingibe and her, and then 2 other women. 2 other women are not really outspoken, you know, as they should. But in situations like this, women should be supporting women. But even the women who are in that house are not even supporting her. Yes, they're not even supporting that. You know, just said that the Senate president hasn't harassed them. Well, it doesn't also mean that if he did, he shouldn't be, you know, he shouldn't go in for it. And now we also had Dino Melai. She has also accused Dino Melai of sexually harassing her. The former senator from Kogi State faced similar accusations from Akpoti, but the claims were dismissed due to lack of proof. This same thing, and now I saw what she went on Arise News to do on a Friday. Saying that she followed him to his house, and they got into the house, and then they were swinging their hands, and then they mentioned something to her that she was hoping that her husband was not listening or didn't hear what they said. And even when your husband asked you about what happened, you refused to tell him. It's questionable now. So why didn't you tell him at that time that this is what this man said, if truly he wanted to solve that problem? There's you know, when a woman comes out like this, there's something she's trying to hide. They should be checked. She should be checked, frankly. That's how I read things. And psychology has taught us that those who cry the highest, those who, you know, talk the loudest, are not the most intelligent people, are not the most important people in terms of holding their emotion. And again, it's a woman. Women who don't know how to manage their emotions. Their emotions run even before they think. You know, so it is absolutely, you know, for me, what I have seen so far, whatever evidence she's bringing, except concrete, except hard facts, that thing would fall like a pack of cards. I hope she has something more. I hope she has something evidential, like something more that can prove sexual harassment, because to prove sexual harassment is difficult. It's not like abroad where, as you mentioned, the person will just go and resign. It's not in Nigeria. This is an African culture. This is what places I fault her. Then the next person, of course, is one certain unnamed minister also made claims. She has also made claims against an unnamed minister in the government. The details are actually vague, but no substantial evidence actually surfaced. Then, of course, you have this particular one, Godswill Akpabio. The current Senate president was recently accused by Akpoti, but many see this as a part of a pattern of unsubstantiated allegations. Akpabio's wife has since taken legal action against Akpoti, suing for defamation and seeking 250 billion naira in damages. So it's going to be an interesting turn of events. I mean, she laid a petition on the floor of the assembly today, and trust me, I don't see it coming out too strong. But I believe also that Akpabio himself, though he hasn't reacted to the allegations, he hasn't said anything about it, and I respect him for not doing that. But I think if it means putting pressure, continuing with the case, with the one that the wife has also presented, I think everybody should go to court. Let that evidence come out, except he himself is guilty. The only reason why I think he will not be looking to go to court to clear his name is probably if he's guilty. But if he's not guilty, for crying out loud, it is nearly impossible for someone to put your name on the wheel like this without going all out for the person. Because not just because of today, but for tomorrow. Yes. And who knows, there might be some grand plan to bring him down. Elections are already on the wings, you know. I mean, in another 1 year or so, every political party would have known its candidate for the 2027 elections. Yes, in another next year, March, April, May, every political party would have known their candidate for different positions for the 2027 general elections. And so, before this year ends, of course, politics kicks in. Our elections are early 2027. So it could be also that it could be political. Some persons are pressing some button through her because it doesn't add up. If you look at the trajectory, the timeline of some of the things that from changing seats to he's harassing me, doesn't make sense. For me, I hope she has all the proof. I hope she has all the proof. If she does, then we can take it up from there. But for now, I personally don't think whatever she has or whatever she has said at Arise News would be held so strongly, against Akpabio. Anyways, this is where I finished my analysis. But again, you can drop your comments and let me know what you think, though. If it is possible, that if you counter my argument, of course, I would also love to hear from you. If you counter my arguments, I'd love to hear from you. Let's discuss on it in the comment section. I'd really love to hear from you. Thank you so much.
President, distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Natasha Akpoti, and I stand to raise a petition under Order 40. A petition may only be presented to the Senate by a senator who shall affix his or her name at the beginning thereof. The petition is in my name against the President of the Nigerian Senate, His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio, for sexual harassment, abuse of office, and malicious obstruction of my legislative functions. You may recall, sir, that on Friday in Arise TV, I did make some statements, and I have decided to narrow these statements in a formal petition against the President of this Senate. So if it may please you, I would humbly step forward and lay this petition. Thank you.
You may proceed.
This is in court now.
Distinguished colleagues, this petition is hereby referred to the Committee on Code of Conduct, Ethics and Public Petitions to revert to the Senate as soon as practicable.
Petition.
Any other petition? Yes.